Back to you, Brenda.
Right, Beldino Leula, a Science and Health reporter at the Kencom bus station. I believe so many of us know Kencom bus station, including myself, because that's one of the places where I also bought a matatu as I had to do my various duties. So I just hope that that is what we will see at the end of the day. Matatu operators just trying to implement that directive that the government gave, as much as they're going back to full carrying to full capacity. But then let me bring in the Matatu Owners Association chairperson, that is Simon Kimutai, joining us via way of phone, just to try and paint for us a picture of how they're going to implement some of the agreements they made with the government through the Ministry of Transport, Cabinet Secretary. And Mr. Kimutai, thank you for joining us here on KTN News Center this morning. So we are saying it's back to full capacity as from today. But then one of the major challenges we are seeing, and it's a picture that we've also seen live here on KTN News through my colleague Beldinwa Liaula, is that not so many Kenyans are using the water points that have been put in place.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to participate in the debate. And the reason why the government decided to have full capacity, earlier on our full capacity was 18 passengers. Even at 14 passengers, and the bigger bus was 45, and it was brought down to 33. So I think we've not gone back to the normal full capacity that we were before. There is still that distance, social distance, with even 14 passengers. Now, you've mentioned that how are we going to ensure that the implementation of the protocols are made? One is that everybody must take up personal responsibility. It's a matter of life and death. You know, the Delta spread now is so dangerous. So I think it is important that we know that everybody must play part in ensuring that they adhere to the protocols that have been put in place by the government. Number one is that everybody must wash their hands and sanitize, which we are providing. The county government is helping us bring water, then wash. Unfortunately, as you've mentioned, it's one thing to take a cow to a river and for it to drink water. You can't force it to drink water. So it's just like a passenger. But we ain't going to allow them to board without washing hands and sanitizing and having the correct face mask, the 3-ply face mask, and put in the right position. That is the most important thing, because it's all about airborne. So it's very, very important that we take a personal responsibility. We'll play ours by making sure that everybody puts their masks at the right position. And if they don't board. And if they are trying to remove it while inside the matatu, we'll ask them to step down.
All right. So
it's as simple as that.
Mr. Kimutai, we are saying this is all about self-regulation within the PSV sector. Talk to us also about probably fumigating the matatus, how this is going to happen. Because, yes, I am sanitizing before I board the matatu. Yes, I'm washing my hands. I'm wearing my mask. But anything can happen. So what about the matatu operators? Are we going to see fumigation of the matatus? How frequent is that going to be done?
Well, you saw yesterday, it was aired in one of the media houses on how it was being done. It's an issue of fumigating it. You have the right chemicals and spraying the vehicle and ensuring that all the time those handles are wiped using sanitizers at the same time. So I think we'll play our role. We will play our role. We were facing deaths in terms of an industry, and this is an economic facilitator. So now we are going, because the consequences are severe if we don't do that. The consequences are individually, if you get out of those protocols, your license will be revoked. So for us to stay in business, we have to play by the rules. And it is important that every Kenyan understands this.
All right.
And they have to adhere to all those protocols.
All right, but then reality, on the ground, Mr. Kimutai, we just have to agree. Even right now, it's a concern to the government on how Kenyans have loosened their guard in terms of just following the protocols. So within the matatu industry, self-regulation, rush hour, aren't we going to see at some point matatu operators just trying to, loosen the guard in terms of following the protocols that you had agreed on with the government?
As you have said it, Kenyans are Kenyans. They easily get carried away thinking that COVID has gone. And we know very well that COVID is here to stay with us. And they must play a role. And one thing is that even with the statistics of spread of COVID-19, there is none which has been related to public transport, because we have been trying to tell people you have to put your face mask on all the time. And nobody has traced their infection to matatu. So I think that was a contributor in terms of allowing us to carry the normal capacity. So it is very important, and we have to say this all the time. And I want also the county governments to play a role, ensuring that they have guards. Unfortunately, they've been chasing matatus. They should now go to the public transport terminals when people are boarding, and ensuring that you have to make sure that you have washed your hands and sanitized.
All right.
And it is very, very important. It's very, very important.
All right. So one of the things the government has been rooting for, including the president himself, anytime they address the country in terms of trying the country fighting COVID-19, is going the cashless system way in terms of mode of payment for anything. So how is this going to be implemented within the matatu industry? And I'm just wondering about that, because, I mean, if I'm supposed to pay transport for 20 shillings or even 30 shillings, am I going to, are your touts ready to accept that cashless system, and how will this be done?
You remember about 8 years ago, or thereabout 9, I actually even brought the president to launch a cashless system to allow passengers to pay their fares electronically. Unfortunately, it's sabotaged left, right, center. I had indicated from the word go that first, apart from issues of COVID, it will kill corruption on our roads, because there is no money at all. The money which is being dished out by touts is our money, and we have not authorized. But you see, there is no proper accounting system. So they pay using our money. Anyway, that's said and done. Payment of fares electronically requires a system. And we have even said that the government should stamp its authority and give us time. We choose a service provider for ourselves, not to be brought by any other people. Already, I'm told there are 40, or I think 30-something, or thereabout, service providers who have been licensed. They should narrow it to 2 for it to be effective, and put a legislative legislation, a kipengele kidogo ya sheria that all public transport have got to use the system.
What you're telling us,
using cash.
So Mr. Kimutai, allow me to cut you short. What you're telling us right now is that yes, the matatu operators will try and implement what the protocols put in place, but when it comes to payment, it will be a difficult task to implement that cashless system. It will take a while.
You see, a system to be put in place, there must be an area. We must have backup. Supposing there is a problem with the system, so it is a system. Any investor would want to be assured. But when you license very many service providers, people fear because the investment is heavy. So we had partnered with one as Matatu Owners Association, and we tried to popularize them. But we don't have a legislative legislation that would make sure that all people pay their fares through electronic. The only problem is Kenyans don't want to be given options. If you give them options, they want to bargain. They want to say, no, I have 10 bob, carry me with 10 bob. But you see, once a system is set, it is set in a way that it will dictate when you key in the destination. So that's one problem that would be. But somehow, there must be a way. We got to have a champion who would be able to drive this. And when you give many service providers, it becomes a problem. But somehow, as investors in public transport, that is the best thing that we can have.
All right.
And we would welcome it anytime.
All right, so Kenyans are supposed to play their part, but I'm also seeing even your crews, your crews are supposed to play their part, because what the statement by the Minister of Transport indicated as of last week is that matatu crew will have to use 3-ply surgical masks. Hawking, preaching or begging in matatus and buses will not be allowed. and your crew are also supposed to make a constant announcement reminding the passengers about the COVID-19 protocols that they're supposed to follow, which begs the question, Mr. Kimutai, as days go by, are we going to see matatu industry adhere to self-regulation in terms of what they're supposed to play, their role, leave alone the passengers' role, but their role? Are we going to see every day this constant announcement? Are we going to see matatu operators, your crew, using the 3-ply surgical masks? Because some of them even reuse their masks.
I think these are very simple tasks and doable. They are not complicated. To make an announcement is as simple as just talking to any other person. So it is. We will play our part, and ensuring that if it is we as investors, we will provide all that is necessary, and we will make sure that we at every moment are watching. There are supervisors and managers who will be making sure that they have to do this. And one thing is that nobody would want to expose himself or herself to a place like getting Delta and go, unless it's suicidal. So I think it is important. We will play our role. It's not hard. And when I mentioned the other time that every person must take up responsibility, and I don't think even anybody would want to wait to be for a pronouncement that put up your face mask. So it is an issue that we will be reminding them. As they are going to take up personal responsibility, they would know that this is what they are supposed to be doing. But ours would be at all the time reminding them. Anybody who wants to put it down will stop and either advise them to put it back or let them step down.
All right. Thank you so much, Simon Kimutai, Matatu Owners Association Chairperson. Just talking to us about today, that big day for matatu operators. We're calling it a big day because they've always been urging the government to ensure that, to allow them, not to ensure, but to allow them to carry passengers on a full capacity. And so Beldino Eleola has also painted for us a picture. We've seen the live pictures of what is happening at Kencom. There has to be a hand washing point, thermometers for checking temperatures for passengers. Passengers have to put on their masks. Matatu operators also have to wear the 3-ply surgical mask and also make constant announcement, just reminding passengers on the protocols that they need to follow. And finally, they're supposed to be going cashless system, which Mr. Simon Kimutai says it will take a while before the matatu industry's operators actually go that way when it comes to payment of transport, something that the government has been rooting for in terms of the payment, the mode of payment system in the country since the country reported its first case of COVID-19. Bringing me to the first commercial break here on a KTN News Center. So allow me to take a short breather. I'll be right back with more news making the headlines.